The same weird thing happened to Scotty in two Star Trek universes. Montgomery Scotty Scott is one of the most beloved figures in Star Trek history. The miracle worker of the USS Enterprise, played with unforgettable charm and grit by James Doohan in the original series. Scotty is the archetype of the chief engineer who can pull off the impossible. With his thick Scottish accent, wry sense of humor, and endless devotion to his engines, he became more than a background officer. He was family to Captain Kirk, Spock, and the entire crew. But in the ever-expanding Star Trek multiverse, something curious has happened. Scotty has ended up experiencing nearly the same bizarre fate in two different timelines. This isn't just a wink to fans, it reveals something strangely poetic about his character, his relationship with time, and his importance to the legacy of Star Trek. The weird coincidence? In both Prime and Kelvin timelines, Scotty winds up being the man out of place, literally displaced in time or stranded somewhere far from where he's supposed to be. It's as if fate has decided that no matter the universe, Scotty's destiny is to be left behind, only to resurface later in a way that proves he's impossible to keep down. Let's break down how this strange quirk plays out across two different versions of Scotty, and why it resonates so strongly with who he is as a character. Scotty in the Prime timeline, lost in time. In the Prime universe, Scotty's strangest story comes not in the original series, but decades later, in Star Trek: The Next Generation. By the 24th century, most of Kirk's crew are gone, retired, or simply lost to history. Scotty, however, finds a way to cheat time, although not in the smooth, Vulcan way of Spock or the tragic heroics of Kirk. Instead, his fate is messy, desperate, and full of the kind of ingenuity only Montgomery Scott could pull off. In the TNG episode Relics, the Enterprise encounters a Dyson sphere, an impossibly massive structure that surrounds a star. Inside, the crew discovers a crashed Federation ship from decades earlier. To their shock, they find a life form inside the transporter buffer. Against all odds, Scotty has survived by trapping himself in the pattern buffer for 75 years, effectively freezing himself in time until someone could rescue him. This is classic Scotty. Too stubborn to die, too clever not to find a way around impossible odds. But it's also deeply strange. He literally suspends his existence for 3/4 of a century, essentially turning himself into a living relic of a bygone era. When Picard and his crew revive him, Scotty finds himself displaced, outdated, and obsolete in a future that has little room for him. The tragedy and humor of the episode lie in that sense of dislocation. Scotty is a man who once defined Starfleet engineering, now reduced to fumbling around technology that has long surpassed him. But as the story unfolds, he proves that wisdom, experience, and sheer creativity never go out of style. Scotty might not know the 24th century schematics, but he knows how to think his way around a problem better than anyone. By the end, he saves the Enterprise D in a crisis, reaffirming that he's still a miracle worker, even if time tried to leave him behind. In the Prime timeline, Scotty's weird fate is clear. He becomes a man trapped out of time, stranded until someone can bring him back into the fold. Scotty in the Kelvin timeline, stranded on the edge. Fast forward to the Kelvin timeline, where Star Trek 2009 reimagined the classic crew for a new generation. Here, Simon Pegg took over the role of Scotty, infusing him with the same wit, accent, and unshakable pride in his engineering genius. But once again, fate plays a strange trick on him. Scotty is introduced not as part of the Enterprise crew, but as a man stranded far away from where he should be. When Kirk and Spock Prime encounter Scotty in Star Trek 2009, he's been assigned to a remote Federation outpost on Delta Vega. This is less an honorable posting and more of a punishment, banished to the frozen wastelands of the galaxy for his reckless experimentation with transporter technology. He's brilliant, yes, but too reckless for Starfleet's taste. The result is that he's marooned, a genius out of place, his talents wasted in obscurity. Sound familiar? Just like the Scotty of the Prime timeline, he's been shoved outside the normal flow of history, this time not suspended in a transporter buffer, but stranded on a planet with nothing to do but wait. The parallel is uncanny. In both universes, Scotty is isolated, sidelined, and waiting for someone to pull him back into the action. In both cases, when that moment arrives, he proves indispensable. In the Kelvin timeline, once Kirk and Spock Prime recruit him, Scotty becomes an essential piece of the Enterprise puzzle, slotting right into the role he was always meant to play. It's as if the universe, no matter which one we're in, can't function without Scotty. He might get pushed aside, forgotten, or stuck in limbo, but the moment he's needed, he's back at the heart of the Enterprise, engines roaring at his command. Why Scotty keeps getting stranded? So why does Scotty, of all people, get this strange recurring fate? The pattern is too consistent to ignore. Across 2 timelines, he ends up displaced, only to re-emerge as a hero when the moment demands. There are a few reasons this keeps happening. 1. Scotty embodies resilience. He's not just an engineer, he's a survivor. He always finds a way to make do with what he has, whether that's a broken warp core or 75 years inside a transporter. Stranding him only highlights his ability to overcome impossible odds. 2. He's the ultimate underdog. Unlike Kirk, Spock, or McCoy, Scotty doesn't command center stage. He works in the background, often overlooked until a crisis erupts. By literally sidelining him in the story, stranded, trapped, or exiled, the narrative reflects his underdog role, making his eventual comeback even sweeter. 3. He symbolizes the link between past and future. Scotty is an old-school engineer, the kind of man who hits the engines with a spanner and listens to the ship like it's alive. In both timelines, removing him from the action for a while lets the story contrast his outdated methods with the new way of doing things. But inevitably, the story proves that his instincts and experience are timeless. The emotional core of Scotty's fate. There's also something deeply emotional about this recurring fate. In both timelines, Scotty's displacement taps into a universal fear, being left behind. Whether it's time itself moving past him or Starfleet shoving him into exile, Scotty represents the anxiety of becoming irrelevant. And yet, his story always resolves the same way. He proves that he's still needed. The universe may try to forget Scotty, but Scotty refuses to be forgotten. His brilliance, humor, and heart force their way back into the spotlight. That's why fans find these weirdly similar fates so satisfying. They remind us that no matter how much the world changes, no matter how much time passes, some people and some values never truly become obsolete. A multiversal constant. The same weird thing happening to Scotty in 2 universes isn't just a coincidence. It feels almost like a cosmic rule of Star Trek. Kirk must always be bold, Spock must always wrestle with logic and emotion, and Scotty must always, somehow, be stranded and then rediscovered. It's as if the multiverse itself knows that Scotty's role is to be the comeback kid, the miracle worker who reappears when things look darkest. Without him, the Enterprise can't function. Without him, the crew isn't complete. That's the essence of Scotty. You can push him aside, leave him behind, or trap him in time, but you can't erase him. He'll always find a way to beam back into relevance, with a grin, a quip, and the engines purring like never before. Conclusion. Scotty's eternal return. Across 2 universes and half a century of storytelling, the same strange fate keeps repeating for Montgomery Scott. Stranded, displaced, forgotten, until he rises again. It's more than just a quirk of writing. It's a testament to what makes Scotty such a compelling character. He represents the indomitable spirit of Star Trek, that no matter how far technology advances, no matter